The dangerous facts about sirens. To some, sirens are the perfect, most beautiful creatures one could think of. But surprisingly, along with their beautiful demeanor, the sirens have a dark side to them. Sirens were depicted as feisty femme fatales who use their seductive music and voices to entice passing sailors to their island's treacherous coast, where they would shipwreck. Sirens were both attractive and dangerous animals. And with this, we welcome you back to our channel. Today, we will be talking about the dangerous and chilling facts about sirens you probably never knew. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. And if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that now and leave a comment below. One of the most asked questions about sirens is, if they are truly evil. Well, strap in, but don't turn off the lights, because this is going to be a chilling ride. Are sirens really evil? Sirens can be deadly in a number of ways. Sailors are drawn to them because of both their beautiful appearance and their melancholy singing. In an attempt to pursue the siren, the sailors will dive into the ocean, where they will either be pulled to the bottom of the sea or devoured by the sirens themselves. One could contend that sirens are simply physiologically predisposed to kill, much like animals who harm humans or other animals. The ships of sailors were also known to be lured into rocks by sirens, where they would crash and the sailors would perish. It is believed that the mythical Greek sirens were not always evil. According to Greek folklore, the sirens were initially made by the god Zeus as playmates for his daughter, Persephone. Demeter, the mother of Persephone, however, cursed her pals when Hades took her daughter. In essence, the sirens serve as a warning about the perils of giving in to temptation, as well as a reminder of the perils of the sea and of sailing. Although their sounds may be seductive, and they may lead you to believe that all you need to do is get to their island, and everything will be fine. In reality, you'll probably end up dying a horrible death on the rocks outside the island. If you're fortunate, you might make it through the perilous swim, but in that case, they would undoubtedly murder you and eat you. The seductive voices of the siren. Homer's Odyssey has one of the most well-known tales concerning the sirens. The sirens are reported to reside on an island close to Scylla and Charybdis, and Circe forewarned the protagonist Odysseus of their presence. According to some, the siren's voice is the voice of death. The goddess Persephone's handmaidens in Greek mythology, whose mother was Demeter, were the sirens. In retaliation for the handmaidens' inaction, after Persephone was kidnapped and forced to marry Hades by Zeus, Persephone's mother gave them the bodies of birds. The ancient hero Jason and his troops had to pass the island of the sirens, much like Odysseus did. The Argonauts were fortunate to have the great musician Orpheus with them. Orpheus played a melody on his lyre as the sirens started to sing their song, in an effort to entice the Argonauts. The sirens' voices were drowned out by the music, allowing the Argonauts to pass the island without incident. Only one of the Argonauts became enchanted, and he leapt from the ship and swam to the other Argonauts. Thankfully for him, Aphrodite rescued him and brought him to Lilybaeum after removing him from the water. How do sirens kill sailors? The sirens would sing and play music to entice seafarers to their islands. In this location, the humans would either meet their demise as their ships crashed helplessly onto the rocky shores, or worse yet, they would be horrifyingly consumed by the sirens. The victim's thoughts are allegedly able to be read by the siren. The unwitting sailor is persuaded by the siren song that they are the ideal person for them, and they are subsequently irresistibly lured to the siren. According to Greek mythology, the sirens would perish if anyone ever managed to avoid their singing and live to tell the tale. Odysseus in Homer's Odyssey is supposed to have forced his troops to fill their ears with beeswax, since it was the only possible way to pass the sirens uninjured if you didn't hear their singing. Odysseus instructed his men to tie him fast to the ship's mast and to keep him there at all times because he wanted to hear the siren song for himself. Ultimately, the sirens hurled themselves into the sea and perished when Odysseus passed them and told others about his encounter with their singing. Some sirens, like those that the Argonauts of Greek mythology encountered, had their siren call silenced by musicians. When danger approached, Orpheus is believed to have played his instrument so loudly that the crew was unable to hear the siren's song and was able to flee. Others claim that sirens only wanted to take the spirit of their victim and would leave the body to rot uneaten. Some later writers speculated that sirens would eat the corpses of their victims. Are sirens evil mermaids? You probably have a preconceived notion of mermaids as the sweet and lovely mythological beings that are half woman and half fish. Nevertheless, if you've also heard of sirens, the perilous beings reputed to seduce sailors into peril, you might be curious as to whether they're simply the mermaid's evil twin, or whether there are additional distinctions. While mermaids are typically nice and sirens are evil, they also differ in other aspects, such as their looks. There have always been wicked siren mermaids with fishtails on women's bodies, but numerous sirens have been inspired by other animals, especially hybrids of birds and other mammals. Can sirens turn into humans? Over time, sirens have been depicted as feisty femme fatales who use their seductive music and voices to entice passing sailors to their island's treacherous coast, where they would then shipwreck. Sirens were both attractive and dangerous animals, but another fact that humans have been wondering about is if sirens could shapeshift to turn into humans. One of the powers sometimes attributed to sirens is shapeshifting. Film and media portray sirens as having the ability to change into people. This is depicted in the fourth Pirates of the Caribbean film and the television program Siren. The siren's capacity to transform into a human is basically a literary device that depends on the author or the storyteller. Though all forms of media, sirens are portrayed differently. How do sirens die? The only time a mortal listener of a siren song may survive is if they pass by them without being drawn to their island. If that were the case, the sirens would drown themselves in the water and turn into rocks. When the Argonauts faced sirens, they managed to flee thanks to Orpheus, whose exquisite lyre playing drowned out their cries. Sirens are the edgy, dark sisters of the mermaids. The mythological sea monsters known as sirens are thought to be wicked. They are typically portrayed as gorgeous women with fishtails, but they can also be frightening. Humanoid beasts with vicious teeth who tear apart humans. With their seductive song, sirens are infamous for drawing sailors in before killing them. While the human race is fascinated by tales of the lethal, entrancing creatures, sirens are prevalent in literature, mythology, art, and culture. The concept of sirens raises a lot of issues. Sirens are less well known than their mermaid cousins, and are mysterious in nature. There is some knowledge about sirens that may be gleaned from tales, programs, films, and mythology. The muses of the lower world were the sirens' other name. Their song, though irresistibly sweet, was no less sad than sweet, wrote classical scholar Walter Copeland Perry. It lapped both body and soul in a fatal lethargy, the forerunner of death and corruption. The goddess Persephone is always being beckoned by their song. The expression siren song describes a persuasive call that, if heeded, will result in a regrettable outcome. Based on Circe's account of the sirens, lounging there in their meadow, round them heaps of corpses decaying away, shreds of flesh shriveling on their bones. Later authors inferred that the sirens were cannibals. At a peaceful, windless midday, their melody becomes audible. Death is the song's epilogue. The fact that the sailors' flesh is decomposing shows that they have not been eaten. It has been hypothesized that without their feathers, their divine nature kept them alive, but prevented them from feeding their visitors, who remained and starved to death. And this brings us to the end of our video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Do you have thoughts? Put them in the comments section below, and give us a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to our channel for more awesome content. Do not forget to turn on the notification bell to be notified as soon as we post. Until next time, cheers.